Sunny ways, my friends. Sunny ways.
Your 16 seconds are up. I'm going to ask you again because nobody believes you when you say you don't know how much money your family has got from the wheat group. You've had a month to look into that. You knew you were going to testify here. Again, how much money total have your brother, mother, and spouse received from this organization? How much?
That information has been publicly shared. I will highlight.
Well, then tell me what it is.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
We have recently switched to drinking water bottles out of water out of when we have water bottles out of plastic. Away from plastic towards paper, like drink box water bottles sort of thing. Sorry?
The servicing costs on the debt that you're going to have to carry that you're adding to now, right?
Interest rates are at historic lows, Glenn.
There's the funds.
On the topic, I mean, in terms of your sort of strategy currently, you're obviously taking the populist pathway.
What does that mean? Oh, Justin, you're awake. You made it. Have a seat. Have a coffee. You need some. Wakey time.
Let's cut that Disney Plus subscription. So we cut it. It's only $13.99 a month that we're saving, but every little bit helps.
A lot of people would say that you're simply taking a page out of the Donald Trump book.
Like which people would say that?
Well, I'm sure a great many Canadians, but...
Like who?
I don't know who, but...
Well, you're the one who asked the question, so
yeah.
You must know somebody. Yeah, that's all that's coming off. There's nothing else coming off, yeah. I'm not Justin Trudeau here. Let's fucking go!
Let's fucking go.
Knockout!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe, Friday Night Fringe here on the channel. Joining me tonight, as possibly always, is the very beautiful and talented, my wife, Mrs. Fringe, Tiffany Smith. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here again.
It's really good to have you here. I hope you guys can hear us well. We're sharing one mic, two people, one mic, two girls, one cup, whatever you want to call it. I hope it's okay. I really do need to get like some SLR mics and get multiple hookups if you're going to be a regular on the show, or else we need to change our setup. We need to change something. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys have had a great week. We have a lot to talk about tonight. The good, the bad, the ugly, and some funny stuff too. But let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. First off the bat, let's start off with our good old-fashioned roll call. Chime into the chat. Let me know where you're watching from. Let's try to get one person from every province in the country. Get those LFGs in the chat as well, ladies and gentlemen. Keep in mind before we start that roll call, I know Wolverine Deadpool launched today. I was actually going to wear my Wolverine sweater for stream tonight. If you've seen the movie, do not post spoilers in the chat.
We have to wait till Sunday.
We won't be able to see it till Sunday. We got our tickets for the 18. I hate saying the 18 plus cinema. That makes it sound like a jerk off.
VIP theater.
But the VIP booze theater. And we couldn't get booze theater tickets until Sunday. So no spoilers in the chat. YouTube has already ruined the movie for me on multiple aspects because they keep posting clips of the movie that people have bootlegged and they keep showing in the thumbnails what they're spoiling. It's no good. Get those chimes in the chat, ladies and gents. I'll try to get to everybody. Let's go. LFGs in the chats. We got Murray coming in from Crap Hole, Calgary. Wow, that's honest. We've got no show coming in from Winnipeg, Manitoba, my hometown. Welcome to the stream. I am Canadian from New Brunswick. We've got Dorothy coming in from Blomenville, Ontario. We've got Paul coming in from Winnipeg, Rodney from Newfoundland. We've got Linda coming in from Foam Lake, Saskatchewan. Welcome into all of you. We have Eric from Edmonton, Alberta. We've got Claude coming in, or Claude, if I'm mispronouncing that, I apologize, from Ottawa, Ontario. Welcome in. Let's go. Unacceptable Dale coming in from Medicine Hat, Alberta. We got Kevin Wells from Cookstown, Ontario. We've got Nathan coming in from Kelowna. We've got Danny with an LFG from Devon, Alberta. Jennifer Francis joining us once again from Vancouver Island. We got a lot to talk about with Vancouver Island tonight, but LFG, welcome into the stream, each and every one of you. We've got Elle coming in from Diamond Valley, Alberta, gorgeous town. Hi to Mrs. Fringe as well. Welcome into the stream. Great to see you. We've got Margaret coming in from Lorette, Manitoba, another gorgeous town. Is that Mag? Mag Vaughn coming in from PEI. To Mike TV trying to post a spoiler. Don't even. I know. I already know the ending because it was spoiled for me on YouTube. So yeah, you're not going to get me with that one, Mike. We've got another Mike jumping in from Empire, Ontario. We've got T.O. jumping in from Vancouver Island. Welcome in all of you. We've got Adele coming in from Prince George. We've got Grandpa TC videos coming in from Erie, PA, now in Red Deer, Alberta. Welcome in. It's great to have you here, every one of you. Trudeau's economy, Calgary, home of the world's worst mayor. We've got a lot to talk about with failed woke mayor Jody Gondek tonight. Welcome into each and every one of you. Who else do we got here?
Springfield, Missouri.
Springfield, Missouri. Is that the same Springfield from The Simpsons? I don't think they've never really defined what state that Springfield is in, but welcome in. I'm sure David gets that question all the time. We've got Carson Sexsmith coming in from Slave Lake with the LFG. Prayers for Jasper. Yes, we are going to talk about that. Not Jasper, Mr. Sunshine Baby, but Jasper, Alberta. Or is it BC or Alberta? I think it's Alberta. People keep saying British Columbia. I haven't been to Jasper in ages, but it's Alberta.
Yep.
Anybody who's saying British Columbia, get your geography together. Yes, prayers for them. Betabot, and by the way, I did know it was Alberta. I was being sarcastic. For anybody who's going to check me in the comments, Betabot, Liberal and NDP are merging into one party. Yes, I have heard that. We're going to talk about that tonight too. We got Amnesty coming in as well, one of our mods. Welcome into the stream. It's great to have you here. Prairie Strong coming in from Redcliffe, Alberta. David Brewer, Deadpool and Wolverine was hilarious. I can't wait to see it. Lisa coming in from Blind Bay, BC. Welcome into all of you. Jason coming in from Langdon, Alberta. Man, that's close. Welcome into the stream. We've got Kirk coming in from Timmins. We've got Did That Hurt coming in from Winnipeg. Didn't hurt too much, but welcome into the stream. We've got Matt coming in from Prince George, British Columbia. Welcome into the stream, Matt. Great to see you here. We've got Dilla Giff Brothers Contracting. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. From Fort Q, Saskatchewan. Welcome in. It's great to have you here. Mike chiming in. So many Winnipeggers here tonight. Hey, listen, I love Winnipeg. It's always going to be home. In fact, I've been trying to convince you to move out to Niverville.
Really, really, really hard.
Niverville, Manitoba. I really want to go back home. I want to be close to friends and family, but the wife just won't have it. Throw one in the chat if you think Mrs. Fringe should cave and move back to Manitoba with me. See if you guys want me back in Manitoba. You put a one in the chat right now. We've got Jay coming in from Humboldt, Saskatchewan. Humboldt Strong, welcome in. Great to see you. We've got Uncle Dude coming in from Mackenzie, BC. We've got Brody from Dorantosh, Saskatchewan. We've got Chippy's Outdoors, Mr. and Mrs. Fringe. Good evening from Winnipeg. Again, Chippy. I had the pleasure of meeting Chippy when I went to Winnipeg last February. Signed some books for him. It was great to have a chat with him.
Awesome.
And his significant other. We've got Brian coming in from Prince Edward Island. Welcome into the stream. This is Twister Productions. Sorry, I had a hard time reading the font, but from Longford, Vancouver. Or is that Langford? I'm sorry. I'm actually, guys, I'm getting new glasses. I've had my glasses on order for what, 2 months now?
Yeah.
And they've screwed them up and I'm waiting for them.
Now they're on back order. It's just a thing.
I'm having an issue reading the small text. Please forgive me, guys. What else do we got here? Who else do we got coming in here? We got Charles coming in from Ottawa. We've got Al coming in from Scarborough, Ontario. Master of Snatch. Where would this show be without him?
Right.
Give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Saying hi to Mr. and Mrs. Fringe Snatch. Welcome into the stream. It's great to have you here from Ontario. We got Calgary coming in from Southwest Saskatchewan. Welcome in to the stream. I'm going to get Mike G over at Courtney. Is that Courtney, BC?
Yep.
Welcome in again. And we've got Princess Thickness coming in from Montreal, Quebec. Welcome into the stream. We've got Marie coming in from Langley. Dilgaff Brothers saying, fact check, Jasper is in Alberta. Yeah, it would be a little weird if Danielle Smith was crying over something happening in British Columbia, although she does have a pretty big heart, so I
She
wouldn't put it
does,
past
yeah.
her. It'd be great to see. Hey, did you know CB Fixes All has joined us in the stream? CB, I'm here. Let the bells ring out because I'm here, coming in from Alberta. CB, welcome into the stream. It's great to see you. Princess Thickness with a hi, Mrs. Fringe. I've been seeing those all over the chat. Welcome in. It's great to see people loving you coming in. I feel like chopped liver now because everybody comes to see you now.
But we always knew I was much more important.
You are much more important. We're going to have to get you your own show on here, I think. Maybe, what was it? Somebody said Fringe Bits?
Yes.
Or something like that.
Yes.
We're going to have to get something going on. I think we've actually got multiple ideas for different shows. I'm bringing in a few new people on to Unacceptable Fringe, hopefully in the future, hopefully on a permanent basis.
Yep.
And we're going to have several different shows here on the channel, kind of diversifying the entertainment blocks. So if you guys are excited for that, let me know in the chat. Guys, I've got to get caught up with the chat. You guys are just so quick on the draw tonight. I will get Denise because she's jumped in from Wendover, Ontario, and Reg coming in from Spruce Grove, Alberta. I say it every time, but we're probably going to be neighbors soon. Welcome into the stream, each and every one of you. It's great to see you. Again, my dear, how are you doing tonight?
I am good. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic. Just living the dream. I can't wait to get into what we have to talk about tonight.
Yes, good show.
First things first, I want to address earlier this week I did a live stream Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
The wife went to bed. Now, when I'm hanging around down here in my game room, sometimes my idea of just chilling out is just putting on some retro video games, having a good time, and kicking back. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to play a Donald Trump video game. I'm going to hang out with my crew. I'm going to live stream and just chat with people while I play a video game. And that stream kind of turned a little personal and in depth a little later on in the stream.
You actually told me not to watch it.
I sat there
You
kissing.
got a little mushy.
I got mushy and I kissed your butt for about half an hour.
I'm okay with that.
And but it turned into a serious stream, but it was fun. It was a fun little chill and chat. I think I'm going to start doing those a little more often. In fact, I think this week, keep your eyes peeled, turn your bells on for notifications. I think I may do some Nintendo streaming later. I had a hankering to play some Castlevania or some Mega Man, and I think I'm just going to jump on board. You guys don't have to watch the game if you're not in for the gaming, but you know what? If you want to chill and hang out with me and talk about anything,
for the chat.
I'll talk about politics. We'll talk about a lot of different stuff. It's just a fun get to know Fringe hangout stream. I think we're going to start doing those more and more often. I had a lot of fun with it. The viewers seem to have a good time with that. So just a quick heads up, ladies and gents, probably going to bring that in and have that on the go in stream. Speaking of on stream, one thing I wanted to talk about that I wanted to stream, but now we're going to get into here was the unbelievable actions of Jody Gondek this week.
Shocking that she's done something horrible again.
Now, everybody caught wind of, well, most people that I seen in the chat before the stream caught wind of Jody Gondek actually closing Calgary shelters that were supposed to be taking in people fleeing from Jasper. Only to drop the ball, come out and apologize on TV because she was caught red-handed. But that's not what we're going to talk about first, because Jody Gondek actually dropped the ball in a major way that I talked about earlier this week. I think it was Tuesday.
Yeah, it was Tuesday. We had high temperatures. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It was like a high of 34, 36 here.
Wednesday, we were on our way to our appointment.
That's
I was
right.
picking you up from the train station, sitting outside of the train station about 4:30 in the afternoon when 3 police cruisers rolled up on a residential home in Calgary. It was just a reminder as to how people really haven't forgotten the end of times during the pandemic, because a woman was outside with her husband. They were sitting in lawn chairs on their front lawn, I should say. Kids were jumping through the sprinkler.
Yeah, they're just cooling off, having fun.
34 degrees.
Yep.
They got to cool off. And of course, 3 police cruisers pulled up. And I remember saying to our daughter in the back, something's going down. Like, the police are pulling up. It was 2 cars at first, then a third came in, and we saw the window roll down.
Pointing his finger out the window.
Shaking his finger. So obviously yelling at the resident. The lady who lived at the house walked over, and obviously the police were giving it to her about using her sprinkler because of Calgary's water restrictions. This is essentially, now everybody gets mad because I call it lockdowns 2.0, but it's totally like COVID.
Oh, 100%.
We're seeing all these people snitching on their neighbors, people coming out and saying evil things like, oh, they're using their sprinklers. Now, what I found most alarming about Calgary's new rules. There are cities right now that do exist.
Yep.
That have watering plans in effect to evenly distribute water amongst the city. So you're allowed to water your lawns within certain times and allotted to do certain things. But one of the things that really makes me wonder where this is going to go in Calgary is because the rules are so backwards,
Yeah.
like they were during lockdowns.
Yep.
One argument I always had when it came to movie theaters during lockdowns was, why are they shutting them down? There's enough seats in rows in a movie theater. They could have spread people out and just sold half or 1/3 of the tickets
Yep.
and still had people getting out and, not having to be locked in their houses.
Yes. And then there's the argument of, being close and breathing the same air or whatever the excuse would be.
But you could go to Costco or Walmart and stand elbow to elbow with people.
Or the train.
Or the trains or transit or anything else. It just, the hypocrisy of those rules really got me. But with the water restrictions in Calgary right now, I found out I can actually go outside and drain and fill our very large hot tub.
We have no limit on how much water we can use from inside the house. So we could bring out buckets outside and water our lawns, but we're not allowed to actually use the outside hose.
That's right. Well, unless of course it's
between the certain times of.
But if we're going to drain or refill the hot tub, you can do that at any time of the day. Wading pools, kiddie pools, swimming pools in general. So if you own a very large, like 25-foot pool, you're allowed to fill that.
So if this lady that was being yelled at on Wednesday, if she had a kiddie pool and filled that up, it wouldn't be an issue. But because she was using a sprinkler, it was.
It's insane. It's absolutely insanity to me to understand how I can fill a hot tub or a large swimming pool, but somebody using a sprinkler for an hour, 40 minutes, half an hour, uses somehow more water than a hot tub.
Yep.
Or swimming pool.
Oh, yeah.
So what happens anyways is these three cars, you saw it as you were getting off the train and got in the car, these three police cruisers essentially watching this woman's house, giving her hell. The kids looked heartbroken.
Yeah. And there was even one car that was waiting up the road, just sitting there.
Well, and that was the thing. So the cop cars all left while my wife was getting into the car. She asked what was going on. I filled her in. She took a look at everybody over there. Now, again, we didn't want to stick our nose in anybody's business or film them or go and ask if we could expose them. I simply took a picture of what was going on, posted it to Twitter, and it went huge, went viral for at least my Twitter account.
I don't have Twitter.
You don't have Twitter, but for my Twitter account, it went pretty big because usually my tweets don't really go anywhere, but this one exploded, showing just the hypocrisy of Jody Gondek's water restriction COVID style rules. But as we were leaving the block, again, the police had left, but there was a cruiser waiting at the end of the block to what we could only assume we're going to go back and check on them at random to make sure they didn't turn their hose back on.
And it's not like our water park's not running 24/7 either. It's running all day long.
But that's non-potable water. That's their excuse, right? So we have a water park in our community that they are running currently all day long. And what really sucks about it is our neighborhood charges us residential fees for that park, and they say it's to pay for the water, but yet anybody can come from any neighborhood and use those water parks. So we, in fact, haven't been able to use that water park this summer because it is so packed with people from other neighborhoods. You can't even sit down over there or get a spot.
Well, and like what my mom was saying, who's in Sylvan Lake, and with their water park, they're on water restrictions because they just found out this water park was using city drinking water. So they are now on water restrictions because they just clued in that that's probably not a good idea.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. It's insanity. And this is where I say it's like lockdowns. It's like a lockdown 2.0. And I seen it in the chat.
This, but you can't do this, and it's just none of it makes sense.
Well, but I seen it in the chat earlier. Somebody said just wait until Nenshi gets in. If he gets in, it's the end of Alberta.
Yeah,
it's the end of Alberta. If not, had Nenshi gets in. You think things were bad with Rachel Notley, the sheriff of Nottingham, as I called her,
seeking asylum in the U.S.
Yeah, it's. I don't think they'll take us.
No,
they'll tell us to get lost. It's sheer insanity.
Yeah,
it's absolute insanity. But what's even more insane, and then I was telling you the other day, well, today actually, the fire in Jasper. I mean, we watched Danielle Smith's press conference.
It broke my heart actually watching her speak. I couldn't even watch the whole thing. it's heartbreaking. It absolutely is heartbreaking.
Well, and there were a lot of people saying, "Oh, that's fake tears.
Absolutely not.
And it's like, come on, like she cares about the problem. I don't care what political side you stand on. Danielle Smith was physically devastated, emotionally devastated over what has happened in Jasper.
Like Jasper is a big part of Alberta. It's a big tourist place. It's a big national
It's the
park.
heart of the
It's
Rocky
it
Mountains.
really is.
It's essentially Canada's backyard playground. It's I've seen a report on Rebel News with Marty up north, good friend of the channel, talking about how he used to go hiking up there. You know, Marty's a bit of a hiker and an
Yep.
outdoorsman.
Yep.
That's his backyard. That's where he goes to play, right? And now it's gone. If you look at the videos going on, and again, the video I showed, the footage I showed in the video about Danielle Smith, the town is absolutely decimated.
Yes.
It's in shambles, just empty square lots of ash.
Well, I heard today as well that a lot of the people who have lost their houses or businesses are finding out from pictures on Facebook that the firemen, who are the only people who are allowed out there, are the ones that they're taking pictures and posting them. And these people are finding out that their house, their business is gone from that.
From social media.
Yeah.
It's insane. I can't imagine. Even if you remember a few years ago when our vehicle was stolen,
Yes.
when we were out at a function,
Yes.
and you were upset, and the first thing I said is, "Hey, don't worry about it. We have insurance.
I know, but
They're going to handle it."
I was more upset about. I was grateful we didn't have the kids with us because we were way up north. And how would we get 3 or 2 small kids home? We lost everything.
But the point being is that at that time we weren't really overly worried because we had insurance to replace
Yes.
the vehicle. People in Jasper would have insurance to essentially pay out their homes, but I can't imagine
If they did.
if they were up to date on their insurance, whatever. But
if
not
they're
only
renting,
that,
not everybody gets renters insurance. We rented for 10 years.
I was just about
insurance.
to get there. So not only that, but putting through those claims, I can't imagine the legwork that's ahead of each individual.
Absolutely not.
And the lowball offers of value that are going to come from insurance companies. If anybody owns a home, you know that when they assess you for property taxes, they undervalue the home.
Well, like the floods in High River too. Like it's just, it's going to be a mass mess, and it's going to take a lot of time to get things done. And in the meantime, these people have nothing, and they have nowhere to go.
They've lost everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not some people, not just their homes, but their homes and their businesses.
Yes,
their whole livelihoods.
Yep.
All gone. Absolutely devastating loss. Again, as things continue to progress with Jasper, I will be updating people on the channel. I'll be putting videos out covering as much as I can. One of the things I mentioned in that video, one of the things that I was really taken back by is that people are trying to blame Danielle Smith. They're saying, well, she cut budgets to firefighters. In fact, that is a lie.
Well, comment here from Beat Mode Productions. Danielle Smith seems to be helping Trudeau burn
it down like Kenny did. So a lot of people are saying that Danielle Smith shortchanged firefighters. In fact, she increased the budget for firefighters.
Well, as much as she could. I mean,
there are questionable things and things
Yes.
that I am going to talk about. Like, for example, the Conservatives tried to warn the Liberals in the House of Commons 2 years ago, or as early as 2018, I believe, that Jasper was essentially a tinderbox. It was ready to go up in flames, and they had to do something to control the fires. The ball, I feel, has been dropped by the federal government here, not the provincial government. There's a lot of things I want to cover when it gets into the Jasper fires. One of them, most importantly, is jurisdiction and where those decisions are mostly made. Justin Trudeau essentially sold off or flew out our water bombers.
Yep.
He's been sending billions of dollars to the Ukraine. He's been spending money in lavish, stupid places that really make no sense to Canadians, and that's all taxpayer money.
I'm curious how much this holiday he's been on is going to cost us too.
Well, we're going to get to his holiday in Tofino, but if you think about the billions of dollars Trudeau has been floating out of the country essentially for money laundering, what this would mean if you were to look after Canada first, if you were to prioritize your own country first. All last year, when they were talking about all these wildfires, when they were talking about all these things going on in the country, that climate change, if you're so concerned about the environment, why aren't you looking after it? Why aren't you getting the proper equipment to handle these events, we'll call them? Now, it's questionable. We've heard about DEWs causing the fires. We've heard about arsonists causing these fires.
Yep.
Poor care on part of visitors causing these fires, negligence. The list goes on and on. But we have cloud seeder technology. They can actually make it rain if they want to. Why aren't we investing in those things rather than getting rid of plastic
Yeah,
straws?
I mean, no matter what started it, it happens. A town is gone because of it. It's heartbreaking. And where's Trudeau helping us with that? I mean, we had all those fires last year, like beyond more than we had before, right? And there was no help there.
It's funny that for a few days, in fact, when I did my live stream Monday night, people were coming into the chat telling me Jasper's being evacuated, people are getting out. And for 2 days, I really wanted to cover what was going on, but was waiting on the premier.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there going, like, look, I'm not saying Danielle Smith is squeaky clean, but I'm sitting there saying, like, look, I don't know what was going on in those first 48 to 72 hours and why we didn't hear from Danielle Smith. I'm assuming because they're looking at damage. They're looking at the landscape of things before calling an emergency. They're probably focused on just getting people out of the area safely.
Yes.
Before holding press conferences. But once that came true, I started going, well, what about Justin Trudeau? What about Skippy? Because he's been on vacation in Tofino. And we've seen this week in particular, an interview drop.
Which shocks me completely.
Still shocks you.
Completely.
It makes me question why Justin Trudeau didn't come out until the very last minute, the last second. That when people say, look, Trudeau's he's the cause of this, BlackRock, all these places that are going to buy up the properties, the land, it's all part of the plan, 15-minute cities. Again, you and I said it all the time during the pandemic. If something sounds like a conspiracy theory, give it 6 months.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at, is why wouldn't our prime minister, our leader of our country, guy who spends a lot of his time in British Columbia around the mountains.
Well, he hates Alberta though.
He hates Alberta, but your job as prime minister is to look after your country.
Yeah. But for him, Alberta isn't part of that.
I mean, you can't spell liberals without lies. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's wildfire management is provincial unless in the parks. Well, and that's again my question, because the city of Jasper is a provincial city, but Jasper National Park
Yes.
is part of a provincial park. So again, there's different jurisdictions I would want to question. And CB brings it up again. Liberals were warned about the fire hazard around Jasper in 2017. Yeah, and I'm going to have that in a video. We're going to talk about that at some point, either over the weekend or early in the week. So keep your eyes out for that video. I wanted to go over the warning in detail. No matter what way you slice it, and no matter how much Danielle Smith says, we're going to rebuild. I mean, the last time we saw photos of Fort Mac, and it's been years since their fire, they haven't rebuilt yet.
Nope.
They're not back all the way. I mean, what's it going to take to get us back to some form of normal in Jasper? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Your guess is as good as mine. Either way, it's a travesty. What's really a travesty is Steve is coming down to interfere in the stream. So, but regardless of what's happening in Jasper, one thing I wanted to get onto was, and that I kind of was trying to segue into, was this interview of Justin Trudeau. This is the joys of doing live, folks. It's never perfect, especially when mom sits in the interviews. The kids always need their mom. Justin Trudeau, I talked a lot about this week, and it wasn't because I thought it was a fantastic interview, but I talked about it because it blew my mind that Cian Bexty and Cat Canada travel to Tofino. Apparently Cat Canada lives in Tofino.
Oh.
But Cian Bexty gets on a plane, they head to Tofino, and they corner Justin Trudeau. They essentially sought him out to ask the questions he won't answer. Now, you and I watched that interview a couple of times.
Yeah.
And most of it was because the questions were arising on the internet. Was this staged? I think it's staged. People believe it's staged. And the thing is that I've watched Kean Bexty for quite some time. I know people that know Kean Bexty. Rebel News used to employ Kean Bexty. Like, I don't see it as being staged. I really don't. People say he's controlled opposition. Call it whatever you want to. I don't believe the interview was staged. But a question that I have to ask is, regardless of how you feel about Justin Trudeau, and don't get me wrong, I've said a million times over, this man deserves no
None.
benefits, no privacy, no special care.
He always happens to be in hiding.
Not just hiding, he's always on vacation. He's taking more sick
Oh.
days or personal days. I think it's what, half of the year?
Well, if somebody wanted to pay for my vacation, I'd probably do the same thing.
He talks about working harder than any other Canadian.
Sorry, what?
He had the gall to say to Kean Bexty that he works harder than any other Canadian and that those 10 days a year were all he was taking to be with his family. I'm going to call bullshit on that one.
Yeah.
Kean Bexty said it best. Think about all the single moms who have 2 jobs that are just trying to put food on the table. Oil patch workers that are gone for months at a time because they have no choice to make money for their families that don't get to see their kids. You're going to tell me Justin Trudeau works harder than those people?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. In fact, this is the same prime minister who sat in an interview not too long ago and said that his job is boring and that he's fed up with it.
Yeah.
So
he's not working that hard.
Can't be that hard. But the one thing that crosses my mind with this interview, that makes me question, and I want you guys to really think about this for a second. Give me your honest opinions in the chat. Is if this was Pierre Poilievre, because I've been seeing there's a fire that needs to be put out. I've been seeing things all the time. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. If you could sneak off and take care of that, that would be great. Again, the joys of being live, ladies and gents. Oh, this is going to be good for the cutting room floor. How embarrassing. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on with Kean Bexty, and if it's Pierre Poilievre, I think people know where I'm going to get to with this. I am not, and I'm going to make it very clear, I'm not saying that Justin Trudeau deserves the same treatment as Pierre Poilievre. In fact, Pierre Poilievre would probably answer questions from independent journalists, and Kean Bexty claims this is the reason he had to go this far. The reason he had to track down Justin Trudeau was there's no other way to get him to speak with everybody and answer questions from anybody other than mainstream shill prostitutes. But if it were Pierre Poilievre on vacation with his children in a discreet location, we'll say discreet because regardless of people saying it is published online, you can find where he has stayed before, the vicinity of where he is. It obviously wasn't that hard for these journalists to figure that out. But it's not a matter of if you should go or should you go. It's if you, sorry. It's not a matter of should you go. It's if you should go. All good?
Yeah.
We're all good. We're back to normal. His kids were apparently swimming in the water. And the problem here for any prime minister is I can concede that it does set a dangerous precedent. Because Justin Trudeau, ladies and gentlemen, it's not that I have sympathy for Trudeau. Kean Bexty asked him about online harms bills, information on the internet. Now that Kean Bexty has confronted Justin Trudeau like this, does nobody else think that Justin Trudeau is going to use this as the catalyst to move his bills forward, to say, this is why the internet should be censored? This is why we should have our privacy, so that people aren't getting information about my family, about where I am, about putting us at risk. Nobody, like, I'm not saying Kean Bexty is a security risk.
I mean, where he is should be public information, what he's doing, right?
And his security dropped the ball.
Yes,
on this big time.
Did, yeah.
I listened to Kean Bexty's story when he was on Rebel News, saying essentially they were on the beach and that Justin walked off, and the security hung back about a good 200 yards. So the big question is again, please, I'm not sympathizing with Justin Trudeau. I'm trying to put this into perspective. If it was Pierre Poilievre, because Pierre Poilievre has children. Mm-hmm. He's going to be prime minister. Does it not say, like, if Kean Bexty can find out where Justin Trudeau is, that when you look at what's happened to Donald Trump recently,
Yeah.
that some wacko lunatic couldn't hunt down Pierre Poilievre and something tragic happens.
Yeah.
Something horrible happens. If you don't think Justin Trudeau is going to use this interview to prop up his bills or to gain sympathy, watch the interview. The entire interview was a guilt trip. It was a victim card. It was everybody feels sorry for me because I'm on vacation. I just wanted 10 minutes with my kids. Right? And you're invading my privacy. It was people kept saying the interview was staged because he gave the interview to Keean Bexte. You could see on the interview, Justin was walking him away from where his family was as a security protocol because he does
If it
not.
was staged, that wouldn't have been the case.
No, if his children weren't there, they wouldn't have got the interview.
No.
They wouldn't have got it. Flat out. I'm
Oh.
not trying to crap all over
It
Keean
would have been
Bexte.
an ugly mess if his kids weren't there. There would have been like
Arrests, probably.
slam down and yeah.
And again, I'm not crapping on Keean Bexte or Cat
No,
Canada
not at
because
all.
I had Cat on the channel. We interviewed her about what went down.
I mean, good for them for trying to get some answers and like some questions answered. Like nobody can do that.
I mean, Twister's saying it perfectly. He's the crime minister. He doesn't get any privacy. I
No.
get that end of it. But what I'm saying is that you have to look at it from a critical standpoint of what does this do for Justin Trudeau's censorship laws now? What does this do for Justin Trudeau to claim he's at risk to get even more security now? Right? That comes out of taxpayers' pockets. I'm shocked that they got within 5 feet of Justin Trudeau.
Amazed. Absolutely amazed.
And I think that's why I wanted to cover it so much was because I was just in shock and awe that it was that simple.
Like when you called me at work and told me about it, I honestly was like, oh, it's paid. Like there is no way that he would sit down with anybody.
Trudeau pushed him.
Especially an independent reporter.
So Shilba's saying here, and she's got a very good point, Trudeau pushed him. But here's the question. If you were in public office and people hated you as much as Justin Trudeau, wouldn't you? Wouldn't like I'm not sympathizing. I'm not sympathizing. I don't know how to say this without sounding like I'm taking Justin's side. I'm not. But I'll tell you right now, if you and I left the house tomorrow and we went, let's say a public place in Calgary, Callaway Park.
Okay.
We go to Callaway Park, an amusement park just outside of Calgary. And we're there with our kids. Somebody recognizes me from YouTube. And maybe they don't like me. Maybe they've got negative opinions about me and they come over to say, hey, what was it you were saying about Justin Trudeau? Well, no, because that wouldn't happen in Alberta. Maybe they say, what was it you were saying about Keean Bexte?
Yeah.
And they come up to me and my kids are right there. You don't think I'm going to want to move them out of the way and possibly put my kids at risk? Of course I would. Any parent would. Now, whether you like or hate Justin Trudeau, and I can guarantee you
We definitely
all of the roughly 400 viewers in here hate Justin Trudeau. And again, I'm not sympathizing. But they only got the interview because his children were present. And I'm not disagreeing. I'm not Marie. He gets no privacy. I don't disagree with that. It's a double-sided coin here that this should be a lesson to Justin Trudeau as to what happens when you disregard all sides of the media, when you don't allow free press.
And maybe more people need to push like that.
They should push like that, but I don't believe in that particular situation just because he has a 10-year-old son. I don't think you should harass. It's harassment. And I don't believe Justin Trudeau should get privacy. I don't believe that Justin Trudeau deserves anyone's sympathy. I'm talking in generalities with anybody, whether you like them or hate them. And I've said that a million times over. I've been 10 feet away from Justin Trudeau. I didn't scream at him. I didn't say obscenities or anything that's going to get me in handcuffs. That's going to make our life difficult. But it says something about your character to say, I hate that person, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut because that's who I am. And I know journalists can't do that.
No, they have to be out there and they have to get the questions answered.
It's Max saying 10 feet. Yes, I sat in the galleries at the House of Commons, roughly about 10 to 12 feet away from where Justin Trudeau was. The galleries come pretty low to where they sit in the House of Commons. And he physically saw my face and left. He left, and it was the greatest day of my life. In fact, I sent you pictures.
You did, yeah.
Because I was sitting there going, there's no way he knows who I am. There's no way Justin Trudeau knows my face. And then when
Pierre waved at you.
Pierre waved, and then, well, that was what caused Justin
Yeah.
to notice me, was Pierre was waving at me during question period. And then when I met with Pierre after, he says, holy shit, you sure ruined his day. And I kind of said, okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. That's a gold medal. But those situations, I don't mind ruining Trudeau's day because he's at work. It's the right time to do those things.
But you weren't belligerent about it. You literally just stood there. It's not like you went in there purposely doing that.
Allison Taylor, he left. Yes, he physically. So here's the thing. I'll paint a picture for you. While I was at the House of Commons, he comes and he sits with his little girly leg cross, and he sits at those little desks that they sit at during their question period. He, if you've ever seen The Incredibles, he's like Mr. Incredible's boss.
Okay, yeah.
He lines all of his pens up in a row, all perfectly uniformed. Make sure everything's all proper.
Well, he's gotta look like he's doing something.
Like a femme. And then he just crosses his legs like a girl and sits on his cell phone until somebody calls upon him. That's the one thing you don't see in the House of Commons is the camera's not always on Justin Trudeau. It's not always on his leader. So he sits there completely disconnected from what's going on in the House of Commons until somebody says something about him. Then he puts his phone down and stands up and yells. But he didn't notice me until Pierre, like Melissa Lantzman tapped Pierre to let him know I was in the gallery, and she pointed upward. Pierre, with this big shit-eating grin, leans forward, waving like, hey, welcome, because I was supposed to meet with him right after question period. And Justin Trudeau looks around like, who the hell's he waving at? And as soon as he saw my face, his smile-like contented face went to a massive blank-faced frown. And he just literally picked up his stuff and left. And it was the greatest 10 seconds of my life.
I think you're still living on that high.
I will take that to the grave as one of the biggest achievements of my life, next to our children being born, next to us being married. Gold star. Gold star. But what I'm talking about on this beach is not Justin Trudeau, but more or less, what does this mean for future politicians? Now, Pierre Poilievre, of course, will answer questions from independent media.
Well, Christian Freeland will just get you arrested.
Freeland will get you arrested, but I'm talking like the next prime ministers. We've seen Pierre Poilievre invite guys like David Menzies into press gallery conferences, all because he sympathizes with the fact that Justin Trudeau ignores them. But it's not just journalists I'm questioning, is that if it was that safe to find, or that easy to find Justin Trudeau while on holidays and approach him, what does that say for Justin Trudeau's censorship bills? What does that say for his argument that his privacy is needed now more than ever? I'm not disagreeing with that, Princess Thickness. I am not disagreeing with that. Again, I'm talking more, what does that mean for future? No, he doesn't deserve peace. Again, I'm not sympathizing. He doesn't deserve peace.
I mean, frankly, he doesn't deserve anything.
It's Floody Boy. Sorry, is the Parliamentary Press Gallery located in the House of Commons? Where was this located, and where exactly were you guys all sitting? And when was this? So this was in October of 2022.
Yes.
I was invited by the Conservatives to come to Ottawa to meet with them because they were fans of how the Prime Minister stole freedom. And at that time, I was just about to launch One Face, Two Face, Black Face, Blue Face. So I went down there to give them a little preview, sign some books, meet some folks. And Tamara Leach was also going on with the...
Oh, it was the first set of her trial.
The inquiry, the public inquiry
yes,
into
right.
into the Emergency Act.
Yeah.
So I decided that's a good time to go because I can spend a few days, hang out with Keith Wilson, Tamara, Chris Barber, everybody, and just essentially
shake hands, kiss babies.
Well, but be there for support too, because
Yes.
Tamara and I are friends. We're good friends, and I wanted to be there for support. So I took them up on their offer. But I was sitting in the gallery at the House of Commons. It's right above where the MPs all sit, kind of in a circular pattern right around the House of Commons. And I'll tell you, it's very high security when you go in there. You have to check your cell phone. You have to have it in airplane mode. You have to leave everything behind.
It's quite security, but unless you're Nazi.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they gave me my phone back, and the pictures I was sending you were in the hallway where you usually see the press conferences. Anytime you see MPs in front of those giant doors with the paintings of different prime ministers on the wall, that's like their press area. I was taken back there, and they said don't take any photos. Of course, I snuck a few and sent them to my wife and said, I'm going to meet Pierre. I can't believe it. I'm standing here. And I was essentially taken in to, what is it here? Pierre had those massive glasses on. Yes, he did have the glasses on when we took our photo together. It was a fun experience. It was a really fun experience and really wild because you're sitting at home getting all the photos. In fact, you were sitting at home when I met with Melissa Lanceman.
Yes, it's a good thing that,
having dinner.
I showered that day because that was horrible.
Because Melissa says, I want to meet your family. Let's do a face chat, a FaceTime. So I had to call my wife while she's feeding dinner to the kids and do a FaceTime so Melissa Lanceman could meet my family. It was unreal. I think you enjoyed that.
I did, yeah.
It was a lot of fun. She's a really down-to-earth person. I really like Melissa Lanceman.
Now would be a good time to talk about the NDP and Liberals joining.
I was getting there.
Well, let's get there.
Here's the thing. If you're going to join me on this show, you need to learn how to segue.
I know, but the thing is you're a rambler, so I'm just getting right down.
You're just sticking the old foot down?
I am. Just let's do it.
Let's... Zylo saying, should this have happened? Probably not, but it sets an example to both Trudeau and journalists. Politicians need to be honest and transparent. Yes, they do. And hopefully what this interview does, Floody Boy was like, they want every detail. Was Pierre sitting with Trudeau? This was during question period.
Yeah, so they're on the opposite side.
They're on opposite sides of the House of Commons. No, they're not sitting with each other. Give me a break.
So Pierre waves, Trudeau looks behind him, sees Derek.
Look at even Robert jumping all over my back. You frigging rambler, you. There we go.
Get to the point. Everybody's asking.
So essentially what's happening now is this is the worst live show.
I'm never invited back.
First we had the Steve show up. Then we have our kids go into full-on warfare and you having to leave during a live. Now it's making mincemeat out of me. It's a good time.
Never invited back.
You're always invited back. Let's get rumor speculating today, and again, I'm going to have a video on it coming up about the Liberals merging with the NDP. Now, essentially, we've seen that Justin has no shit to stick to the wall when it comes to his next election. In fact, he confirmed during his beach walk with Cian Bexty, he was running for prime minister, although even if he's going to drop out, even if he is going to have a replacement, whatever's going on in the rumor mill, and again, I've got a video coming up about the rumor mill that's going around. But despite the rumor mill, he's not going to admit to Cian Bexty, of all people, that he's not going to run. So, of course, he's going to lie and say he's running. But Trudeau essentially drawing straws, figuring out how can we stay in power? How can we do anything to stay alive at this point? The fact of the reality is people shouldn't worry. But, of course, Jagmeet Singh and Trudeau are now talking about a merger. They're talking about merging parties.
I think anything with this government, we need to worry.
You shouldn't worry about it, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell everybody why your fears can be put to rest. Pierre Poilievre has a massive lead in the polls right now. Massive lead. Nobody in that pocket of Ontario where Justin Trudeau's numbers are worried are voting for NDP. So it doesn't matter if Jagmeet Singh joins, and it doesn't matter how many seats they have. People, look at what happened in St. Paul's, Toronto.
Oh, yeah.
Losing to the Conservative seat. People are fed up. This is a mercy kill. This is them saying, we're just going to pull out all the stops. We're going to do whatever we can to clinch to power. And all it's going to do, I feel, is show how diabolical they are, how sinister they are. And it's going to push people even further to go out and vote for the Conservatives. Now, the big problem I see with that is that not only are you going to have a Conservative majority at that point, but you may see a massive uptick in Conservative seats. And I've always said no government, even if I like them, should have a majority.
No.
Because it allots too much power for them to do whatever they want, essentially. Even if we disagree with it. And mark my words, I've said it before, I like Pierre Poilievre, he's getting my vote, but there will be things he's going to do that aren't going to make everybody happy. We all know this.
Yeah.
You can't please people 100% of the time. You can't. It's politics. Canada already knows how diabolical they already are, but that's my point.
Well, we only hope.
That's my point. Your wife is right. That's the same as when she said, don't worry. Marie and France had the lead. I understand what they're saying, but look, there's going to be shenanigans when it comes to our next election. But what I'm saying is, for rationality's sake, you need to look at what happened in St. Paul's. You need to look at what's happening in Toronto. A lot of
That hope that there's enough people who are fed up and fighting back against this.
well, and again, I don't really take polls as definitive answers. But Nick Nanos even coming out showing that St. Paul's wasn't the only liberal stronghold that looks like it's going to be lost to the Conservatives in the next election in Toronto. So if those are already flipping and they're liberal, why would anybody change their mind if the NDP merge with them? Right? Like, does that not make any sense? In fact, I don't see how this is good for them on any, and people bringing up Dominion voting systems. I get it. Do you know what the answer is here, folks? I know somebody's going to say, get out and vote. Voting is the answer. I say it all the time, and I say it to you too. A lot of people keep talking about, I want change, I want change, I want change. But when it comes to the elections, when it comes to the voting systems, when it comes to everything, nobody wants to do anything. They just want to complain on the internet. Now, I'm not blaming any of your viewers. I'm not blaming you or anybody else. I'm just saying that if you guys want change, we have to be active. We have to demand accountability. If we see, do you remember when we went to vote last for the province, the provincial election?
Yeah.
And they had the verification machines, despite Danielle Smith saying they're going to hand count every ballot.
And that was a big concern to me,
It-
seeing them.
It was a massive concern. But do you remember I was almost asked to leave because I kicked up a stink about it when we were there to vote?
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff we have to do. Now, don't get me wrong, volunteers are running those outlets. But
Yes, it's not their fault.
yes, you don't stand there and complain to them, but you at least make it known that, hey, who do I get in touch with
Yes.
when this is done? If I have questions about the legitimacy of my vote, or to make sure that my vote went through for the proper channel, right? Where can I confirm my vote? Those are the questions we need to ask. And we actually have to check. We have to do our due diligence. We have to make sure we're actually making an effort, ladies and gentlemen. Because I got shit for saying it a couple weeks ago. It doesn't matter what government gets in. They're government. They're going to do things you don't like. And if it's our job to put them in their power, it's also our job to ensure that it's going to the right place.
Yep.
You were going to say something.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, I heard you. You kind of piped up for a second and then I cut you off because I ramble.
I forgot what I was going to say.
There we go. Let's chime into the chat. Let's get into the chat. Let's see what's Sharon saying the only way to get change is to leave Canada. JT in Canada
Not wrong.
will be the first post-national state. So I don't disagree with that, but the biggest problem is the big question of where do you go?
Cool, yeah.
Right? America makes it almost impossible to get in there. Right? So unless you marry an American or have a visa to go in.
Let's do it.
You want to get a divorce and then one of us gets sent a job? So we'll get a divorce. You get a job in America with a visa.
Become a citizen.
And then we'll get remarried.
Yes. I do try to convince you that every tax season we need to get divorced just so we can get a little bit more money.
Can you believe people are doing that? That there's people out there that are getting divorced after 40 years of marriage just to save on their taxes?
I've asked you every year at tax season, are you sure you don't want to do it?
But my concern is that you're asking for other reasons than for taxes.
Yeah, I know. No, it's not. It's completely taxes.
My concern is you're going to say, do you want to get a divorce for taxes? And I'll say, sure. And then you'll get it done and be like, ha!
See you later!
Get out of my house. Reg saying Mexico, baby. It's no. See, unlike squabbling YouTubers that shill and beg people for things, I'm not going to flee to America. Desperate YouTubers that leave when things get tough. Not that I'm going to name names. That could be anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not going to happen. I mean, like, we're leaving Calgary one way or another. We've said we're leaving Calgary.
100%.
You don't want to live here anymore.
No.
You hate it.
And I've lived here my whole life, which is really sad, but it's just not what it used to be.
It's a shame because I've said it a million times over that when I first moved to Calgary in 1995, It was a different town, and then met you, and then everything just went to shit. But for you,
You can leave now.
for you, but it's insert foot here.
Yes,
It was a different town.
it was 100%.
You like when I first got my driver's license when I was my learners when I was 15, like people would let you merge in. The roads weren't as congested. You know, you could get downtown in 15 minutes. Houses only cost $250,000.
But even beyond all of that, the people were different. The city felt different. You could go downtown and you didn't feel like you were going to get stabbed or step on a needle or anything like that, but it was a much different place.
When people were friendly.
Yes, you could have conversations. I used to have conversations with people on the train all the time.
And I didn't have to hear about Diwali everywhere I went.
No.
I know I'm racist. Come on. But it's the truth.
Yes.
The mass immigration, it's turning into Brampton here.
It is. Yeah.
And there's nothing racist about saying it. It's funny because I talk with family members that say, well, you're racist because you mentioned that. It's like, it has nothing to do with skin color.
No, but I mean, they don't exactly treat people very nicely. They're not very...
They're pooping on beaches and burying it in the sand.
But even more than that, they berate women in stores. We've
seen that.
Women on streets. The train is just insane to be on sometimes, and it's just not what it used to be.
John saying Fringe isn't racist to anybody. No, I own a color TV. Come on. Comedian never laughs at their own jokes. I shouldn't be chuckling. Let's.
Sorry.
They berate women. Yes, we've seen it. We've seen it at Walmart and stuff. Like they scream at their partners.
My friend works in sales, and just has been talked to very rudely by them.
It's insane. I mean, we have whole neighborhoods in Calgary where they have, it's like you hear about like Little Italy or Chinatown.
Yeah.
But there's a neighborhood in Northeast Calgary where all of the real estate, all the real estate signs are in Arabic.
Yeah. And they will not sell to white people.
No, God,
no.
no. Not. No. And there's mosques all over the place.
Yep.
And there's like, it's Khalistan. And it's exactly what it reminds me of when we were in the United States and then we came over the border into Delta, BC, and it was like instant. Like we went from America. I know everybody gets mad when I say that, but you go from the US into Canada and it's like normal life, cross Canadian border. And it was like, boom, everything was Khalistani this, Khalistani that. Everybody's walking around. Nobody's white. There wasn't a single white person for what, like 20 blocks?
Well, I mean, sometimes that's a fun little game for us to see how many white people we see.
And that sounds racist.
Yes.
Totally. I mean, we usually count Teslas and things like that for fun too with the kids.
Especially in Vancouver.
but it's true. And there's nothing racist about it, but
No.
You're pointing out fact. It's fact. Have you been in Millwoods? No. God, no. I've heard about it. But now Alberta's bringing more people over.
And what was the article I sent you? It was 60% of Albertans or Canadians
don't have a problem with it.
No, do have a problem.
Or do have a problem with it, sorry.
And my comment was that the other 40% are the immigrants.
The other 40% are the immigrants saying, no, bring them all here. I mean, guys, look, I haven't come up with this name, but in Calgary, they call the northeast section of town Browntown.
Yeah.
And it's not, again, anything we created.
No.
But that's the reputation that it has. That's just where it's at. And that's where that neighborhood is that I mentioned.
Yep.
And it's reality. We're being invaded.
But we're seeing it everywhere. It's not just Calgary. It's everywhere.
Princess Thickness saying the merging should not be allowed. It's unfair. Of course it shouldn't be allowed. It's dirty politics.
Well, and they're getting a lot more freedoms and perks and stuff like that by becoming over.
Sheba saying they call Surrey Little India. Yeah,
Yep.
well, so my brother used to live there. He called it Curry.
Yep.
And it was and that apparently is a name that goes around a lot there. My brother, of course, who lives in Delta, now talking about moving to Alberta because he just can't do it anymore.
Nope.
He can't live anywhere. And it's not a matter of people that are a different skin color.
No.
It's a question of safety. It's the crime that goes on around there. There's a bunch of questionable real estate ventures going on around his house, we'll say, in terms of illegal substances,
Well,
possible
even the
pew-pews,
pop-up
and
trucking companies and stuff like that there's issues with, and there's lots of things. And then once they become management, and then they only hire their ethnic
here's
background.
my I'm Indian, and I can assure you my family and I all use washrooms and have assimilated into Canadian culture. I also agree that
Yay!
immigration should be curbed from all countries. So there's a rational take on things.
Yes.
And again, I've got Indian friends. I've got friends of that
Yes.
descent, and I don't have a problem with them
No.
because anytime they've come to our Halloween parties. They've been around whenever we do get-togethers, and nobody complains or says,
Yeah,
I'm offended.
We're not judging just one race. It is the people, but there is a lot of them.
Calgary has turned so woke
Yes.
over the last
Ugh.
few years that the school system's messed up. The everybody walks around now saying you have to take this down, you have to change this. I don't like it. I'm offended. And we started saying, like, why are we living in a big city anymore?
Well, I mean, Harley went to school. Our daughter went to school with horrible anxiety every day of what she was learning.
Well, yeah, I've gotten into that in streams, and we won't get into that here. But it's just everywhere you go now, the mayors, the counselors, the stores, they all say, well, we want to be PC. We all want a virtue signal. We all want to allow this. We got to be hospitable to people. Start saying no. I think it's the one thing I found refreshing when we were in Washington.
Beautiful in
Washington State, but gorgeous country. I mean, the mountains are fantastic. The scenery, unbelievable. But the people there, you never hear anybody saying, I'm offended.
Nope.
Or I don't like this. Because they tell them we don't care. They literally say we don't care. And they move on. I saw it.
Planned invasion.
It's a planned invasion to destabilize the country and usher in NWO. Yes, it is. I agree with that. All hail. Yes, we talked about that. We talked about that too. Yeah. It's and Mike TV was getting to what I was just about to get to. We need immigration. It can't be denied, but we need the best individuals. Not what we've been getting in the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
The problem right now is that we have an open door policy. It's just come on in.
Well, I mean, there's even a backdoor policy.
A backdoor open door policy at Roxham Road and other places in Canada, but mostly Roxham Road. But it's just come on in. And now Alberta's saying, well, we'll start taking the people from Quebec. Why? So that we can lose all of our jobs? So that
Why are we taking people from Quebec?
Well, because we all got to be PC.
But I thought they wanted to separate.
Well,
Are they ignoring? They don't want that anymore?
There was an old joke, and I know loyal viewers like Princess Thickness are from Quebec. I'm going to give you guys this funny little joke while we're talking about it because it reigns true. How Albertans view Quebec sometimes because of transfer payments, because of all these things. But there's this old joke that says 3 Canadians are walking down a beach and they find a magic lamp. And a genie comes out and says, well, since 3 of you found me, I'm going to give you each one wish. And there's a man from Alberta, there's a man from Manitoba, and there's a guy from Quebec. The guy from Manitoba goes first, and he says, I wish that winters went away altogether in Manitoba, that it was nice weather all the time and enjoyable to live there, that it wasn't the coldest corner on earth on Portage and Maine. And the genie goes, great, grants the wish. Snow is now irrelevant in Manitoba. So the man from Quebec goes next, and he starts thinking about that, going, I could do something great for my province. And he says, I want you to build a 200-foot wall around the entire province of Quebec. I want to be separate from Canada. I want to make sure that nothing gets in or out. We want to be away from everybody else. Genie goes, okay, poof, erects a 200-foot Trump-style wall all the way around Quebec. Nothing can get in, nothing can get out. Man from Alberta steps up, and the genie says, and what can I wish for you? And the man from Alberta looks at the genie, and he says, nothing can get in and nothing can get out. And Genie says, that's correct. So the man from Alberta says, good, my wish, fill it with water. That's...
I love that one way too much.
It's
You're waiting for my reaction.
It's not my joke. It's an old joke, but it's part of the problem in Alberta now is that we're talking about taking, whether it's any province, whether it's whether it's Alberta, whether it's British Columbia, whether it's Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Ontario, you take all the migrants. The solution isn't move them out of British or out of Quebec into other provinces. The solution is tell them we're closed. Go home. There's no jobs for you here. Look what's going on in the Maritimes right now.
Yeah.
Temporary foreign workers who knew their time here was temporary are protesting to be allowed to stay. Because they say it's not fair that we've bought property here and that we're told to go home. You came here under the under the information that it was temporary, which means you're going to go home.
They need to look up the definition.
It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. Of course, Justin Trudeau recently had to backstep and start saying they're going to start sending some of those people home because he's trying to do whatever he can to improve his numbers. It's never going to happen. I'm standing up for what I believe in now. Jordan Peterson beautifully says, in order to think, you have to risk being offensive. Of course. And you know what's funny is I quoted him with that when I met with him, when you met with him with me. Wonderful man. Absolutely amazing. I know we had a great time with him. And he's a very smart man. And I follow that. In fact, you guys should go and read 9 Rules to Life. His first book, any of his books, but his first one is absolutely amazing. I find it very helpful, actually, when looking not just at politics, but general life. But it's very transitional to politics as to how you should live your life, how you should separate the negative from the positive in your life, and try to move forward. I have to get another copy of that because he signed that copy, so I don't want to wreck it by reading it again. But it's a fantastic book. Go and get it. You met Jordan Peterson. I talk with Jordan Peterson from time to time. I've met with him twice. My wife came with me the second time. Both times he was in Calgary and asked for us to come to a show. Amazing person. His wife is fantastic.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
Really great guy to chat with. I'm hoping one day to get him on the show. In fact, every time I'm in touch with him, it's come on. And he keeps saying, I want to. It's just the schedules don't line up. And he's also got issues with his exclusivity with Daily Wire.
Yeah.
And his own channels. But it would be great to have him on at some point. I think it would be great to chat with him. But again, I do catch up with him from time to time. He's given me some free pointers. He hasn't billed me by the hour yet, which is good. And yet I'm still this sane, happy-go-lucky, politically charged individual that you see sitting before you. Somehow I haven't changed into a more calm state. That should say something, Jordan, about your ability to change people or rehabilitate. I'm just joking. Jordan Peterson was born in the same hometown as me, raised by wolves. There you go. He's an absolutely fantastic person. I love him. Jordan Peterson talked too much during the Musk interview. So what's really funny about that statement, and the reason I wanted to highlight that, he actually mentioned when we met with him,
his wife did,
or his wife mentioned that when he's spinning his ring finger, when he's agitated, much like myself, he will ramble on.
So he doesn't plan his speeches. He picks 2 or 3 topics per show, and then he just goes. So sometimes it can go for a really long time, and sometimes it can't. He's just a big rambler, a big talker, but he's absolutely brilliant.
What was it she said? If you ever ask him a question, prepare to give up about an hour of your life.
100%. Yeah.
And it's true, but it's because he's so passionate about what he does, and he just gets so involved. He wants to make sure that he's covering all of the bases when he's talking. He wants to be thorough. He wants to back up his opinions. I get it. I've seen it before, and he realizes it. His wife realizes it. But he's absolutely amazing. Hannibal Lecture saying, I used to live in Nanaimo. I had to move. What a hellhole. I've heard rumors about different towns in BC, much like Calgary. And these are small towns, but again, they get flooded with people that just want to come there and change everything.
Yep.
The real estate gets blown up in British Columbia because of that. Houses get demolished and then rebuilt into mansions. It ruins everything. And what was the town your friend moved to? Penticton?
Yep.
It's same deal. Same deal in Penticton. It's it's part of the reason that we're talking about leaving Calgary is that, again, as we said earlier, it was a great city 20 years ago. But since woke mayors have come into power, it's just gone straight down the toilet. And aside from my bid to run for mayor, there was just no play that would have resulted in that elect happening. And the question came of, well, what do we do now if I'm not going to change things here, if I can't change?
What's keeping us here?
Not only what's keeping us here, but do you want to stay here? And of course, my wife immediately said, no, if we're not going for the mayor's chair, I don't want to raise my kids in a town where I don't feel safe with them just playing out on our driveway. I don't feel safe with them walking down the street with their friends to go to a park.
And we can't get them into extracurricular if we even wanted to.
Well, so here's a little, I think I've mentioned it before. So in our neighborhood, if I want to get my kids into swimming lessons, for example, you have to sign them up in their community, like in their boundaries from where you live. You're not allowed to go outside of your zone in communities for the kids to get swimming lessons. But since lockdowns, they're backed up. They don't have enough staff.
Yeah.
And then they open up swimming lessons, but it's online registration, and they drop the online registration, like 11:30 at night?
Yep.
Every couple of months. And you're told to be on there. And it's like refreshing a cart when something goes on sale for Black Friday. We try to get the kids into swimming lessons, and it's refresh. And by the time you go to pay, all the lesson blocks are filled because they prioritize members over, well, certain members at the level that they're paying for over other members. We can't get our kids into swimming lessons. So I have a 10-year-old daughter, soon to be 10-year-old daughter, doesn't know how to swim.
Well, I mean, she knows the basics.
She knows the basics.
I still can't trust that she won't drown.
We have 3 children that don't know how to swim, with the youngest at 4 years of age. We can't get them into hockey. We can't get them into certain sports.
No, not that it would fit in a budget, because it's just
and that's I was just going to get to that. Even no matter what we could find for them, it's priced out the wazoo. You're essentially donating a kidney just to pay for them to be in those extracurricular activities. So that was part of the drive to move, was small town life seems to be a little bit better. Now, my wife looked around, and I think you've pretty much settled on Spruce Grove.
Yeah, based on what we can get versus jobs as well. I mean, I'd have to switch my career
But that was so if not Spruce Grove, Niverville, Manitoba.
So Spruce Grove was the best option.
I'm never going to convince her to go back to Manitoba.
I mean, Niverville is beautiful. They just need to pick it up and put it in Alberta.
There you go. So it's not going to happen. But that was the thing with Spruce Grove. We started looking at properties.
Yep.
For an equivalent home, for say an 1,800 to 2,000 square foot home in Calgary, you're looking, what was the average we found? About $800,000?
Plus.
800,000 plus. But if you go to Spruce Grove, which is 3 hours north of Calgary, roughly,
you're looking to the
525 to 600,000.
Yeah.
So you're saving almost $250,000. And you're getting small town life. And we've looked around Calgary. I've looked at small towns just outside of Calgary, all around. Where's most, because I don't want to move away from my father. I feel bad that we're kind of packing up and moving away from Grandpa. But I mean, he understands too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he moved here from Scotland. He's done the big move too for the best for his family. He moved from Manitoba to Calgary, and he completely understands.
Well, and it's the funny thing is that when we went to the bank this week to talk to them about our options, even the woman at the bank said, all the people your age are trying to get out right now. They're all leaving. And all the young people are trying to get in because they want to stay where everything's woke.
Yep.
Everything's.
So if that's what it's going to be, we definitely want out.
Spruce Grove is an Edmonton bedroom community. I get it, but it's still outside of town, small town enough. It's the value to dollar of what we're getting.
Yeah. And I'd probably end up getting a job in Edmonton.
Yeah, and we're definitely not going to live in Edmonton. No offense to anybody who lives in Edmonton.
We're from Calgary.
But we're from Calgary. We don't want to move from a big city to big city and have the same amount of crime, the same problems, same woke mayors.
Yeah.
It's Derek and Tiffany moved to Okotoks. Ingrid, so we actually looked at Okotoks. We have friends who live in Okotoks. It's close to Calgary. The problem with Okotoks, again, is that for the same price as somewhere like Spruce Grove, it's the price.
Yeah.
It's going to cost me $700,000 to get a comparable home to what we can get for $525 in Spruce Grove. It's just...
And Okotoks is beautiful.
It's not a matter that you can't afford those things, because, again, we've made equity on this house. It comes down to, why are we paying more? Why are we paying more to be somewhere just so we can be there, if there is no outright benefit? And
because then we'd be paying less for more and have more to do more.
More
for our
disposable
kids.
income for our kids. And that's part of what drove us to think about Spruce Grove, is we're carrying a smaller mortgage. Nobody wants to be in debt for the rest of their life if they can help it. And Okotoks is a beautiful town. I've been saying for decades, we should move to Okotoks.
Yep.
And we just never got around to it. But it's come to South St. Vital. I think you're talking about Manitoba. I used to live near St. Vital in Winnipeg, actually right behind the Mint, in a community called Southdale. I grew up in Winnipeg. And I've got friends there, family there. My mom's buried out there. And I keep telling my wife, if she cared about my needs, I'm a man with needs, then she would just agree to go. But I get it. I get now CB coming up with a good point. There are no Chinooks in Spruce Grove in the winter. No, there are not.
Yes, I know. And that I will miss them a lot.
Oh, it's insane. But we have looked all over. We really have. We've considered all of our options. We still don't know if we're going to move yet.
No.
We still don't know what we're going to do. But in this day and age, you have to keep the doors open. You have to always have a plan, because the government is essentially trying to bend you over at every turn. It's crazy. It's crazy. Have you looked at homes in Leduc? Also, we would welcome you to Devon. Look at this. All these amazingly nice people. Yes, we've looked in Leduc. We're looking all around.
You don't want to be our neighbors.
You don't want to be our neighbors. You guys, everybody loves watching us on YouTube. But here's the thing. If I lived next door to you, you'd be selling your house in about 48 hours after we moved in. I guarantee it. You'd be like,
kind of loud.
I am not living near that jerk.
No.
I just... Derek and Tiffany, we would both love it here in Spruce Grove, and we are close to LA. I mean LA, not Los Angeles. I don't know what LA means, Reg, but I think what I like about Spruce Grove is that if I ever need the city, I can get into it. It's only 15 minutes.
And you love the mall.
I like West Edmonton Mall. I'm a sucker for West Edmonton Mall. I like the water park. I like the theme park. If we lived there, I know that magic would go away very quickly, because it's there all the time.
But I would be so happy because you can just go by yourself. I wouldn't have to go with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What do we got here? Move out to the swamp here in Beaver County. There again, there's lots of places we could move to. Excuse me.
We should do a draw on where we move.
LA, Lethbridge, Alberta. It's nowhere near Lethbridge. It's about a 5-hour drive, in fact, from Lethbridge. Whereas Calgary, we're only about 2 hours, 2.5 hours from Lethbridge.
2.
Right, closer to 2. The way I drive, it's 2.
Maybe that's why I think it's 2.
And there's beat mode. Get out while you can. Yeah. Oh, Leduc, Alberta. I'm guessing that's what LA means.
Yes.
Yeah. So the airport, Edmonton Airport, is near Leduc.
Okay.
And Leduc. I mean, we've stayed in Leduc. When we've gone up to Edmonton before with your mom.
Right.
I got no issues with Leduc. We're looking all around. It's all, again, bang for the buck. Smaller mortgage, making money go further. And it's not, again, that we're in financial trouble, but the question comes up. Calgary is a city that has just gotten ridiculously expensive.
Like, if we can save just a little bit, just to be able to do just a little bit more for the family, then that's what we're going to do.
There's
like our house here is just, we've kind of outgrown the size of it.
CB, West Edmonton Mall has more submarines than the Canadian Navy. Yeah. And they don't even operate them.
No,
that's
there.
It's funny. So when I went to business school, for marketing You know, the one thing they always talked about was two products exactly the same. One's 99 cents, one's $1. Why does everybody buy the one at 99 cents? And who buys that at $1? And the question was answered by the teacher, who said people will still buy at $1 just because they enjoy the, I guess, the attention, I guess, the reward of paying that. They like the narcissism behind it, that they can afford the $1, but most people will go for the deal. So that's essentially the problem that we have, is that I could afford to move to a bigger house in Calgary with my wife, and we could probably have a similar mortgage to what we have right now, and there wouldn't be any problems. But the question that came up is, why?
Do we want to live
Why
here?
do we want to pay more for something that we can get somewhere else for less, the same size, same everything, and it's a small town feel, without all the pressures of Calgary and the crime and the wokeness and the 2-hour commutes and the like? That is what it all comes down to. Is it's not that Calgary isn't a good place to be. It's really not these days, but it comes down to, why would I spend more when the government taxes so much, when the carbon tax takes so much, when day-to-day life sucks so much disposable income at these points? Why would I be house poor just to have a title that I live in a city? It just doesn't make sense. It's and John saying, why go through all that stress? It's not worth it. Absolutely not. And that's like, even Domino, the most expensive house in Innisfree is about 120K. Again, yeah, it's there are places. Small town BC is nice too. I agree. It's and Silo saying it's so you can pay more capital gains tax when you move to your kids. So I'll tell you guys right now, I would advise each and every one of you, if you really want to save money, find a way to incorporate yourselves. Get incorporated, because if you have an accountant, even if you're not incorporated, get an accountant. Usually you can have an accountant do your personal taxes for a very minimal fee, and they will show you the ins and outs of things like capital gains, especially within a corporation. So my family, my old man's gone over he's in his mid 70s. He's talked to me about his plans for when he's gone. And a lot of things were set up so that when he goes, the property, the way it's left to the business, his corporation, and how it gets divvied out, means minimalistic capital gains taxes. There are ways to save still. So again, my advice, whether you're personal taxation, whether you're incorporated in doing it, there are so many breaks that accountants know the ins and outs of. Get yourself a good accountant. Pay the extra $200 to file your taxes to get some breaks. The breaks and benefits they will get you will save you in the long run. I never believed it until I incorporated, and Dad got us into an accountant.
Yep.
And I've never been happier in my life, because your taxes are roughly what, 40 to 50% of your check.
Oh yeah.
And then when I get taxed, I pay what, 10%? Roughly 10%. Like, my wife was so blown away that she goes, I go to work, I work my butt off, I I bust my ass, and I'm losing half my check to the government. And she says, and not to say you're not working hard, but she says, you're working from home. You don't have to go anywhere, and you're paying 10%. Yeah. Because those laws for corporations were designed to protect the government, not to protect Joe Blow.
No.
It's just that they were written in a way that now Joe Blow can protect themselves, and the government hates it at every avenue. In fact, I was supposed to get a return this year on my taxes. We filed in what, April?
Yes.
I still don't have it. In fact, they said that they'll send it out as early as August 14th.
But when they thought you were supposed to pay, you got it within a week.
They thought I owed them taxes, and we had to get an adjustment. They said, you owe us money within. I got the letter in the mail within less than a week. And then all of a sudden it's, oh no, we owe you money. Okay, well, we'll get it out by August. Hopefully. That's the government. We should have a revolution. I mean, I'm not going to incite any kind of questionable behavior, but I don't disagree with you. I think that is the case. And John saying the quote of Trudeau, I work harder than all Canadians. Again, we mentioned that at the beginning of the stream. Isn't that hypocrisy at its finest?
Yeah.
It's Lucas saying I waited 6 weeks for my return. It's insane. I wish it was only 6 weeks for ours.
Yeah.
I mean, and they owe us thousands this
Still
year
waiting.
because they screwed up last year.
But that's okay because you've already spent it. So
I've already spent it. But it's the funny question that, like, when I called Revenue Canada, you know, I said, it's funny because if I owe you money and I don't pay you, you charge me interest. Very hefty interest, I might add. But then when you owe me money, well, you can just take your time paying me. You can hold on to it for as long as you like. You can freeze bank accounts. You can essentially just do whatever the hell you please.
Yeah.
And I don't get any interest. I don't get any extra money back because they took forever to pay us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just told, get your taxes ready for an audit next year.
Yep.
In fact, that was the funniest thing that happened when we incorporated. In fact, that day when Justin Trudeau left Parliament, you know, Pierre Poilievre joked, "Do you have an accountant?" And I said, "Yeah, why?" And he said, "Good, because you're probably going to get audited." And I said, "What?" And I said, "Because
Same day, wasn't it?
that was when the discussion came along about Justin Trudeau knowing who I was, because he says, "Oh, he's got a list." And I said, I didn't realize I was on his list." He said, "You embarrassed him. You embarrassed him with how the Prime Minister stole freedom." And it's funny because Pierre made that comment and we filed our first year's taxes in 2023. And within 30 minutes of filing, my accountant phoned me and he said, "What is it you do for a living again?" And I said, "Well, I write political satire and I made a book that made fun of Justin Trudeau." And he says, "That explains a lot. We're being audited." I said, "You're kidding." He said, "Half an hour. It's literally a record." He says, "It's never happened like that." He said, "We hit the submit button." And he says, "I came back to my desk 30 minutes later. There's a notice of assessment and they're saying you're being audited." Now, I have nothing to hide. We had all the receipts. We had everything in order.
No issues.
My wife is very good at bookkeeping and she keeps this company afloat. So luckily,
Let's just pretend that's true.
luckily for me, I had somebody who was very good at filing paperwork, so we didn't have to worry. But I mean, it's just so funny. It's, I mean, the accountant had a good laugh at it, but at that point, you can see Steve is coming down once again, jumping into the live stream. Ladies and gents, we are 1 hour and a half into the stream. We're going to start wrapping it up. I want to first off thank everybody who came in tonight. I want to thank Mrs. Fringe and Steve for poking his head in here, and Steve for jumping into the stream, and all of the live mess ups tonight. If you guys are watching this later on after the live, I hope you enjoyed all the live mishaps tonight. Let me know in the chat if you want to keep seeing Mrs. Fringe join me on the channel, or maybe even have her own segments on Unacceptable Fringe. Maybe we'll set something up with that.
The things I would talk about.
I think it would be a lot of fun. Let me know what you guys think in the chat down below. And again, I hope you guys have a great weekend. Keep your eyes peeled for new videos dropping all weekend long and all this upcoming week. I look forward to bringing those your way. Stay cool if you're in a heat wave like we are. Make sure you get out of the smoke if you're anywhere in Alberta and can help it. If you have the chance, please donate to the Red Cross to assist those in Jasper. I know the Red Cross can sometimes do funny things with funds, but right now it's all we have. And the government is supposedly matching contributions. So anything we can do, folks, it's always a good thing. Steve, can you say hi to people? He's shy. He's always playing with my microphone if I leave my camera on, but he's too shy to say hello. I hope you guys have a great weekend and look after yourselves. If you haven't seen Deadpool Wolverine yet, I hope you enjoy it when you go to see it. If you have seen it, I hope you enjoy it. Thank you to everybody who didn't post spoilers in the chat, because I know a few people said they saw it. Can't wait to see it Sunday. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week and enjoy the videos coming your way.